Well, hello there. This is Virtual Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. I've got a really cool game today of the Max Lange Vienna Gambit. But before I start, it's come to my attention that I think some of my viewers don't know that for every single one of these videos, I also have a matched blog article. So basically an article that covers the game, often in a little bit more detail in written text with the PGN. Have a look at the video description and you'll find it. Now in this game, I had the white pieces and I had as I said, the Vienna Gambit in the Max Lange line. One of the things when I play sort of aggressive opening gambits is that sometimes the gambit doesn't work. Let's see what happened in this game where I managed to turn it around and come back from behind to win the match. Now, Max Lange, so that's e4, e5, knight c3, and of course, knight c6. Symmetrical knights. This is the Vienna game, Max Lange defense. You know, most YouTube content creators in chess will suggest bishop to c4, and that is a very good move. However, the problem with that is you often end up in a fairly closed line, with especially if black plays the knight. So here, I usually now play the Max Lange Vienna Gambit, f4. And in this position, black needs to accept the gambit, which is different to the Falkby variation Vienna Gambit, where they shouldn't take the gambit. Here, black had a think. They decided to play d6, which is kind of all right, but not the most accurate move for us. Now knight here, and potentially aiming to take d4. They develop the other knight, that's fine. d4, captures here. Of course, they can't capture now because it's defended by the queen. I've played this lots of times before. I know in this position, I'm just very slightly ahead, but it's a good position for me. They develop bishop, that's fine. I develop my bishop with potential attack down along the f7 file, f7 pawn. And in this position, black played queen to e7. Now, in the match, I kind of knew that this was probably a mistake or inaccurate. But, you know, their idea is quite simple. You know, two attackers on the e4 pawn, putting in pressure. I've only got one defender. And I thought, you know, for a minute and a half, and I couldn't quite work out how to punish this. I knew that this was probably inaccurate. And the way you should punish it, so yes, that is in fact an inaccuracy. The thing to recognize, and it's a good pattern to know actually here, certainly something I'll keep in mind in the future, is that this queen's defense or attack on the e4 square, e4 pawn, is an illusion. It can't actually take that pawn because we've got now short castles. And so let's say they go, oh, okay, two attackers, knight captures, that's a blunder. You can see knight captures back. And if queen now captures, that's a blunder because we now have that very, very nice fork and basically black loses their queen. So in this position, it's this apparent two attackers on the e4 pawn is a mistake because they don't actually have it. In this game, I thought, and eventually I thought, okay, I need to defend, maybe put the queen here. But somehow, at the end of 1.5 minutes, I both overthink and then, impulsively make a move, and I play queen to e2, the symmetrical queen move, which sometimes you see in the other Vienna Gambit, in the Falkby Vienna Gambit. And as soon as I made that move, I realized, oh no, that's a blunder because I have hung my knight. And more than that, after knight captures, I even have a follow-up attack on my queen, so I lose tempo. Now here, I am definitely losing. I knew that I was losing in the game. Basically, that was just a straight up blunder. However, what I would suggest for those of you who like to play gambits is to not lose heart when something like this happens. Whenever you play a risky opening, you may make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, your opponent is definitely ahead. Here, they're definitely ahead, up 3 points of material. Basically, it's about -3 or so. However, because there's still so many pieces on the board, and often the game having moved in a direction that they didn't expect, you probably shouldn't expect, but they definitely didn't expect, there is a possibility of trying to regain, claw back some of the disadvantage in the middle game. So that's what I was aiming for. So what do I need to do here? So I had a think, and what I need to do is I need to consolidate, get the king to safety. So I'm going to short castle as soon as possible. I notice that most of my pieces are relatively developed. I'm okay with the defense, so these two knights are potentially a little bit risky. I need to be careful with those. Notice that this bishop is quite hemmed in, because even if the queen moves, it's kind of blocked in a bit by their own pawn at the moment. And if that bishop doesn't move, this rook can't get into the game. So potentially, even though I'm down a point of, I'm down a whole piece, so black has an extra piece, as long as I can move quickly, and if their bishop can't get into play, that difference in piece numbers may not be felt. Let's see what happens. All right, they immediately want to defend. Obviously, that has an attack there. That's okay. Short castles, get the king to safety. They now long castles, which is very interesting. It does get the king kind of into safety. However, notice that they've already moved their c pawn. Like, that's still a completely okay move for them. And with opposite side casting, the game now moves into a position where tactical type games, so tactical maneuvers, are potentially advantageous. So if I aim for aggressive tactical attacks, I might potentially have some advantage here. Bishop out, connecting the rooks. Okay, thinking maybe I can potentially make an attack here. Let's see what happens. They now move their bishop. Okay, that makes a mistake. 3 attackers here. That's okay. I now move the bishop. Let's trade the bishops. Potentially there is an attack here, but that doesn't work while their knight is still here. So let's jam that with our pawn. That prevents their d pawn moving forward. Again, traps their bishop. So that looked okay. Rook here, that's all right. Let's bring that rook over. So no, they now can't take. So again, the e file, there's a bit of tension there. They decide to move their queen, which makes sense because otherwise moving the bishop has an attack on their queen. And this position, I had a long think, and I decided that this knight, and especially their knight pair, is quite strong. That's one of their most active pieces. So I decided to just whack that knight, opening things up a bit. Now, obviously, there's now a potential tension along a fully open E file. With them capturing back, that opens up the C file, which, with these tactical maneuvers, exposes their king potentially. These double D pawns, again, not really that good for black. So, capture. They take, and here I was actually really happy. At high depth, Stockfish says that black is completely fine. About -4.2, they're completely winning. In this position, however, I was quite excited. I thought that in this position, I've really neutralized black's immediate attack. So this knight is all the way back here, queen all the way back here. So no more immediate direct threats on my king. Again, still blocked in. The bishop being blocked in means their piece majority is not felt. And here, the queen looks like I have a counter strike, a really potential powerful attack. And my rook controls a fully open e file. So very, very happy. Black here now plays a very sensible looking move, at least superficially, but it's a blunder. This is a real problem for black. However, they thought, I need to get my bishop into play, so they played the bishop to e7. It's a blunder, and we're almost back to equality, because now we've got the queen, counter-strike, the, striking back. There we go. Queen captures the a7 pawn, and notice this skewer along the back rank is a real problem for black. So they're at serious risk there, and to protect their back rank, potentially they'll need to use their queen, because one of the best things that black can do right now is to trade queens. If we trade queens, black will probably win. However, in doing so, with them having moved their bishop, the queen probably can't defend the back rank and trade queens and defend the bishop at the same time. They try to do both and they cascade the blunder. So from losing now to winning, we now have that skewer. Black's best move is to trade queens and then lose their bishop. However, that's hard to countenance because if they lose a queen and lose their bishop, it basically looks like looks like they're losing. So they decide to keep their queen, lose their rook, and then they try to counterattack. And here I do have, some troubles because my queen at the moment is kind of stuck on Black's back rank. So here I need to play very carefully. Move the king, that's a great move. Potentially, that's a really winning move. However, I find the important move, which is to move my knight with an attack on the queen, defending that square. They give check, captures, we trade the knights, and now rook all the way to a1. Black continues to try to do some counterattacks, that seems to make sense. But now I've got queen here, doesn't say they can't take anymore because if they take, that will be a very, very lovely fork. So they blocked the queen. I now play my queen all the way back here, potentially now with a check. And here, I think Black trying to valiantly try to fight on, but they're losing time. They've got 3 minutes. I've still got almost 6, and they make one more move, but emotional damage had already been taken. After this move, they didn't even wait. They resigned, psychologically defeated. Good game. GG. The big takeaway in this game is to not be afraid to take some risks in the opening. Even if you stuff up and you make a mistake or have a blunder, you've got the opportunity to try to claw back that disadvantage in the middle game. And playing these games and getting that comeback is enormously satisfying. I hope you enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.